There is breaking news now on Fox News Channel, and you are looking live at an absolute horror unfolding before our eyes in the city of Minneapolis. The Interstate 35 bridge has collapsed. People are said to be in the water. Cars and trucks have tumbled off. An 18-wheeler is up in flames. We have absolutely no idea what caused this, but we can see an absolute tragedy has developed. Trace Gallagher is live in the newsroom. Trace, have you been watching this over the last minute or so? What in the world happened?
I have indeed, Shepard. We don't know exactly why the bridge collapsed. We can tell you the locals are now reporting that the Minneapolis police have confirmed that this is a 35W bridge over the Mississippi River. It collapsed. You saw the picture earlier. There are now cars on fire. There are people in the water, and we're now being told that people are actually swimming to be rescued. They are mounting kind of a base station, if you will, so police can gather and figure out the best way to start rescuing these people. But there are people in the water, and there were, at last check, some cars burning with people in them. You can see the trucks right there on the bottom right-hand side of your screen that were burning. We have no idea why the bridge collapsed. There was no kind of earth movement that we heard of in the Minneapolis area that you can see as you pull back there. That's the part of the bridge that goes over the river, and for a catastrophic failure like this is extraordinarily rare, especially when you're talking about these types of bridges that go over water, Shep.
Yeah, Trace, we know that this thing had been under construction, but further, we know it had been in use for some 30 years, and I just can't imagine that a bridge under construction in this way, if there were any structural unsoundness that they might have known about, there's just no way they put people on this thing.
All I can do is go by experience. When you go back to the Bay Bridge in San Francisco, which also goes over water, which was also under construction, before they did any type of construction at all, they fortified that bridge. As you can imagine, there is a great deal of liability. You've got thousands of cars moving over these bridges that go over water, and you can imagine how they have to fortify them before they start tearing down metal and rebuilding the metal. So I'm not sure if that happened in this case, but in my experience, that's the way these things are always operating.
I've just been given information that tells me that this bridge connects downtown Minneapolis with the University of Minnesota, that some 20 to 30 people are believed to be injured at very least. This bridge has just twisted and tumbled, and fires are burning, and these are pictures a national audience is seeing only on Fox as a true catastrophe is unveiled before our eyes in the city of Minneapolis. Trace, it looks like, I remember watching the Bay Bridge, how one side of it just sort of collapsed, and then cars and trucks just ran right off the thing. It looks very similar here with this 18-wheeler up in flames.
Boy, does it indeed. And, you know, the scariest part is we can't see what's beneath that bridge. Now, were there cars that kind of got trapped beneath the bridge? Because you recall during the 89 Loma Prieta quake, when part of the bridge collapsed, there were cars beneath there, and so there might be people that need to be rescued underneath that side of the bridge. We know, we can see it. If you pull out right in the middle of the screen, there are cars that the hood was kind of trapped by that part of the bridge. The question is, were cars going fast enough when that part of the bridge collapsed? They actually slid beneath there and might be trapped as well. So you might have several different rescue efforts, people in the water, people in burning cars, and people who may be trapped underneath the bridge itself.
Again, these pictures live for us, courtesy of KMSP, our network news service affiliate. That is the Mississippi River. And good Lord, Trace, it's hard to imagine. We're in the very early stages of a rescue attempt here, and one of the scary things is, Trace, I don't see a lot of cops around. I don't see a lot of rescue workers. I wonder if it's the time of night when a helicopter would be in the air because of local news coverage at this time. And I wonder if the helicopter has beaten the authorities here, and if there are enough people to get these rescues underway in the early going.
Stands to reason, because now they're telling us all the local affiliates, and by the way, we're kind of scouting their web pages and their channels here, and they're all having a very difficult time getting information in. And if you talk about how are they going to get to the scene, you've got traffic in both directions now that we cannot see on both sides of this bridge that have got to be at a standstill. So now you've got to try to get the help coming in from other directions. That may be difficult. If you can't get around that traffic, which is at a standstill, it could be a while before police actually get to the scene. So you know they're going to dispatch boats. You know they're going to dispatch the life flight helicopters, and any way they can get to these people on the ground, because right now we're told dozens of cars affected. Don't know if they're burning or in the water, but dozens of cars could translate to dozens, if not more, people inside those cars.
Live at the scene with the latest there, Rob. Yeah, we are on the north side of the river, just off of Main Street, just down from St. Anthony, Maine. Behind me, you can see where the north end of the 35W bridge has collapsed, and collapsed onto a couple of train cars here that are spilling their load grain, it looks like, down below. Still plenty of vehicles stuck on that roadway. Talked to one man in his wheelchair who was driving his handicapped vehicle across the bridge. On this end of the bridge, it's still stuck there. He said simply the road started shaking as he was driving across, and it was very slow traffic at the time, as you can imagine. The road started shaking. He maybe thinks for up to a minute before he saw a span in front of him buckle and cars start going in. He started going forward, very scary as you can imagine, but was lucky that his van struck the side of the bridge and stopped. And a couple of people were able to help him get out of his van, and he's now sitting over here along the river along with hundreds and hundreds of people who have come down to take a peek here. Many of them with their cell phones, calling people just to tell them what they see. Many of them with their cameras taking pictures. Talked to another person who was driving on 35W just about a half mile from the bridge when this happened. Very thankful that they weren't any further down. As much of a difficult work this is for the rescue crews, and we have seen a number of fire departments from all over the metro come in through this way to get down to the river to help. Little Canada, among others, from all the suburbs down here. As much as hard work as it is for them, it is also a big crowd control issue for police up above here with just the throng of onlookers. They've had to route people out of the woods. A lot of people have gone into the woods to try to get a better peek of what's happened down below. And a lot of people say this is a scene they just can't imagine that they're actually seeing for real. Many of them just say the same thing. It's kind of a cliche, but it's like something out of a movie. And I can tell you that in all the years I've been doing this, I have never seen anything like this at all. But again, crowd control will be an issue as people continue to stream down here. But a lot of activity coming back and forth from the river down there is certainly a frantic effort from down below. Jeff and Robin, back to you.
Thanks, Rob. And again, we're dealing with breaking news and situations here of interference every now and then. And we want to go now to Ted Canova, who is the director of the Red Cross here in Minnesota in the Twin Cities. Ted, what can you tell us? You're building right nearby. We're looking at video as you speak from down on the ground of some of the flames and whatnot. But Ted, give us an update if you could.
Yes, there's a lot of heroism going on right now. Earlier I was down by the bridge, down by the water, down the hill from the Kaufman Union at the University of Minnesota, you know, the area well, and that's where a boat launch is, and I was able to see the law enforcement officials putting boats in the water, divers going with the boats, and basically it's going to be a shuttle. That boats will be on a search and rescue
over the Mississippi River, collapsing in both the north and south directions. The entire bridge dropping down into the Mississippi River, a bridge that was built in 1967 and was going through some work right now, just some resurfacing and de-icing work. But now it is in the river, and so too are some 50 cars and all sorts of victims. Maury Glover's live on the scene.
Well, we are along Cedar Avenue, just south of Seven Corners, and Ken, if you can just pan over, you can see that basically Seven Corners has turned into a parking lot. Lots of people, this happened at rush hour, so lots of people trying to get over here.